Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. Tonight we're going to be reviewing Married to Medicine. I am so happy to have the ladies back. I love watching Dr. Heavenly in her one-liners and how she just acts up, child. But before I get into the review, I want to say this. I have been noticing a lot in my comments, a lot of negativity, and I monitor my comments. And I also make sure to respond to each and every one of you to let you know that you're just not talking to yourselves. Even though you talk amongst yourselves, I want to be involved with my channel. That's the kind of channel and page that I'm running. So for those of you trolls that may be looking at this video and have a problem with this, let me explain to you what kind of channel this is. I do TV reviews, yes, but it's a lighthearted review where I may make fun of people. I may make a joke here and there, but it's all in fun. I don't know any of these people personally, and I don't want to know any of them personally. So if you have an opinion that's opposing to mine, if you can't keep it respectful, then you need to keep it pushing. All right, now let's get into it. All right, so when the episode first opens up, it is all about what's going on with COVID. And, I was waiting for the doctors to come back so I could see how they were dealing with it. Because to be honest, I actually was thinking about them throughout COVID. I'm like, I wonder how the doctors on Married to Medicine are handling this. And they were saying some really poignant things. One thing that stood out to me is that Dr. Contessa said this is like a war for doctors. And I'm like, you know what? It actually is, because they are on the front lines every single day and they're seeing all these deaths and all the things that are happening. So in the first few minutes of the episode, they're talking about the pandemic, and then the doctors are talking about how it affects them. And then they touched on Black Lives Matter. And of course, we all were in an uproar after the whole entire George Floyd thing. So they touched on that as well. Then we see Toya, honey, because I mean, we went through the seriousness of it all. But then we see Toya riding around in her golf cart. Child, oh my goodness. But anyway, then we go back over to Dr. Damon and Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Jackie and Dr. Scott, and they're all administering COVID tests. Dr. Damon is such a stand-up guy. I mean, he just really, Heavenly really won the lottery with that one. He's such a stand-up guy. And so they're administering tests to the impoverished areas because, African Americans were dying at record rates, and we were not getting the testing that we were supposed to be getting because a lot of testing wasn't widely available to us. So Dr. Damon decided to be part of the solution as opposed to just sitting around being a doctor and doing his general medicine. So in a confessional, Heavenly was like bragging on him. Honey, Heavenly staying her man. I got to give it to her, honey. She love her some Dr. Damon, and she gonna make sure that she lifts him up and empowers him every chance she gets. So she was telling us, he's not just saying he's about it, he's actually being about it. And he was like, okay, please, because he's so humble, honey. He don't want nobody to talk about what it is that he's doing. But Dr. Damon, we salute you. So then we see them go over and have a seat. Dr. Jackie and Dr. Heavenly are talking. So Heavenly said, where is Simone and why didn't she come? And she was like, and so Jackie was like, I don't know. And Heavenly said, you don't know? Ain't that your best friend? Or am I your best friend? Heavenly, you are a mess, child. So, they had a little laugh at that. But Dr. Simone holds grudges. This is just my experience, because when she got mad at Quad, she was mad at Quad for a long time, honey. It took a long time for Quad to get out of the doghouse. And I'm kind of shocked that Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone are having such an issue, but I guess. And so Dr. Jackie was basically saying that, she sees who Dr. Simone really is, and that she feels like Dr. Simone should have had her back last season when she outed Buffy about her infertility issues. Dr. Jackie, I'm going to have to say this to you. Okay. Yes, you are a nice lady, but you were wrong to say something about Buffy's infertility issues without her permission. And as a doctor, you should know better. Honey, what about the HIPAA laws? Like, what is wrong with you? You can't just go around and say things and then expect her to back up something that's not right. Because I mean, in previous seasons, you've had these lemon squeezes and pass the peach, and you can't talk until you have the napkin in your hand and all of this, and all these kumbaya moments, but you don't want to be held to the fire when you're wrong, and you were wrong. And that's just my opinion, honey. Y'all can comment down below and tell me what you think. So, Dr. Jackie just pretty much said that she reached out, but she never heard back from Simone. So there we have that. Then we see Dr. Simone leaving for the day. And, she said it allowed her to be at home more. And her relationship with Dr. Jackie is like at a distance right now. And she wants to surround herself by close friends. I'm like, oh, I caught that shade, Simone, honey. And, then she gets home. She starts talking to her son. I love her and her son's relationship. It's just so sweet and it's so open and transparent. I love everything about their relationship. So her son was outside playing basketball. When she got out of the car, he said, "What's up, big ugly?" These dang on boys, the way they treat their mamas, honey. So then she was like, "Well, are you excited about going to school?" And he was like, I'm a little bit excited, but I'm afraid of the racism because he's going to college in a small town. So Dr. Simone feels like he should be prepared for whatever. And I do not blame her because, you never know what you're going to face. So then they started talking about the ladies or whatever. And she started talking to him about condoms. And he was like, I don't use those. And Dr. Simone, with her laugh, she's talking about, child, Simone has a laugh that is so funny and contagious. It sounds like a car when it doesn't want to turn all the way over when you get that when you need to jump start your battery. That's that laugh Simone be giving to you, honey. And I live for it every time she do it because it is so funny to me. Over at Toya's house. Oh, and I want to add this too, a little side note. Simone's son has turned into a really handsome young man. He's a really, really handsome young man. So then we go over to Toya, honey. She riding around in that cart. And so she's talking about all the houses and they're passing them. And Toya's son was like, "Oh, that house is huge." And she was like, "Well, you can get you one too if you go into medicine." Toya, you can get a house like that without going into medicine. Like, girl. He was like, "Well, you're not a doctor." And she was like, "But your dad is." Oh my goodness. She is just so, we have been doing this, watching this show with her since 2013. The shallowness has not left, not even one season. We're in the middle of a pandemic and it's just everything shallow. There's no substance to Toya whatsoever. I almost feel like she'll be better suited over there at the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Girl, I know Dr. Eugene be kind of embarrassed a little bit, honey. Oh my goodness. So Toya starts talking about how she loves her home and the suburban life. Then the shady producers start playing this little infomercial with this little music to back it up. She was like, everything was almost perfect. And then COVID hit. I'm like, well, life comes at you fast, child. We see Dr. Eugene getting home. He's defunctifying himself, honey. Shout out to Brett. This is the ATL. He's taking off his scrubs, wiping down his steering wheel, his seat, trying to get himself together because he's just come out of the hospital. He goes in and after taking his shower and everything, he wants a glass of wine. So he starts talking about how everything has changed since the pandemic hit. And he was telling Toya, he said, people are coming in for chest pains and for sniffles and for heart attacks, and they have COVID. We take their temperature and it's 104. So now it's COVID on top of that. Instead of Toya saying, "Wow, that's really crazy that they have to deal with all of that on top of having COVID. It ain't nothing new. It ain't new." I'm like, girl. So then she proceeds to say, "And I'm upset because we were supposed to be going on a honeymoon in Italy and then stupid COVID came." I'm like, Toya, your selfish ass you are ridiculous. Like, I don't understand. She's like, "And I haven't dressed up to go on a date in a while." I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, this is what you're worried about when people are dying, when people are losing their jobs and their homes, and we're not riding around in golf carts. We're trying to figure out how we're going to feed our kids. And you're mad because you couldn't go to Italy. Girl, you and your overbite, shut up. Oh my goodness. So then she starts saying how she feels like Dr. Eugene goes to work and gives all that he has and comes home and only has 15%. Girl, if he's saving lives 13 hours out of a 24-hour day. All he has is 15%, and be lucky he has that, and be lucky he has his health. He's around people who have a deadly virus every single day. Girl, oh my God. Anyway, then she starts talking about the husbands come and play tennis so they can be around their wives. Girl, shut up. Anyway, we go over to Dr. Contessa's house, and she's getting home probably like a millisecond before her husband. She goes in, she showers, gets herself together, puts on clothes that are COVID free. And then her husband gets home. But I was trying to understand why he took the shirt off and not the pants. You flapping them pants all up and through the house with all the contamination on them. And then he came in and tried to kiss her. And she was like, you ain't finna kill me. I'm like, I know that's right. Then he goes into the restroom to get ready to take his shower. But, honey, I would have to go in and spray behind him because Dr. Scott he's not the cleanest, child. I mean, you should have taken your scrubs off in the garage the same way Dr. Eugene did. Honey, if we could see his big bloomers, we could see yours. Child, go ahead. So then they go outside, and so Dr. Contessa said, they can't afford a sitter right now because not that they can't financially afford it, but they don't want anyone from the outside coming in when the pandemic is here, and could possibly spread something to their kids. So Scott's niece and her girlfriend are there just helping out. They're outside doing some yoga, honey, getting their zen on. Okay? Because the kids, they get stir crazy when they have to stay at home 24 hours a day. So if that's going to help them, honey, I'm all here for it. They're outside doing the yoga. Then we go over to Jackie and Curtis's house. So we see Curtis get home from the grocery store, and he's handing Jackie the items, and she's wiping them down. Now, this was very important to me. It might have been minuscule to some, but let me tell you why this scene was important to me. Because everybody makes fun of me because I wipe down my groceries. Honey, I'm not about to, in the grocery store, everyone touches everything. They pick it up. The stockers touch it. Maybe you picked it up and then you decide you didn't want it. Maybe you left it at the register. So now they put it back. Like, no, I have to wipe down my groceries. So the fact that I saw a doctor actually wiping down her groceries, I felt vindicated. That's just a side note. So Curtis comes in, but he didn't take them outside clothes off. Curtis, take those clothes off if you've been outside of the home. So he comes in, he's talking. They start discussing the fact that they got the house finished just in time, but they didn't get a chance to decorate it. So they go on over to the bedroom, and so Jackie starts talking about how she's going to furnish it. Curtis was like, well, let me have a seat. Oh my God. When he sat down with those outside clothes on in the bedroom, I don't care if it was the spare bedroom, I cringed. I was like, oh my God, honey, some of these men, child, I'm so happy I don't live with a man, honey, because their cleanliness is not all the way there sometimes, honey. Ooh. So she tells Curtis about this party that Dr. Heavenly's having for Damon's birthday. And she was like, Simone's going to be there. And, I'm seeing her at work, but we're not really talking. So I'll be really seeing her for the first time. So Curtis was like, y'all just need to talk because both of y'all are stubborn. And it really was sad to me because once Mariah and Quad fell apart, because they were like the core friendship in the group. And then you had Jackie and Simone. So I really hope that they can fix their relationship because it's really not all that serious. The gist of it is they both wanted some support. Simone wanted her to support her because she wasn't really feeling Heavenly, and she felt like Dr. Jackie didn't have her back. Dr. Jackie felt like Simone didn't have her back after she was wrong when she said something about Buffy's infertility issues. So both of them want the same thing. They just need to talk about it. Honey, have your own lemon squeeze, Dr. Jackie. Y'all get 2 lemons and pass them back and forth. Girl, anyway. So then we get over to Dr. Damon's 50th birthday party, honey. Dr. Heavenly gonna make sure that her man is taken care of, okay? She comes outside to make sure everything is everything. So she was telling us in the confessional, she said, the kids, they really love their daddy. My oldest son actually shed a tear. They said he was the best dad ever. Now, they ain't never said no like that about me, but I was touched that they said that. You know what? Dr. Heavenly has the same humor as me. We do not take ourselves too seriously. And I love it, honey. And she will cut you up if need be. Okay? So after that, we go back over to Toya's house. And the couples are meeting up to go to Dr. Heavenly's house. So Toya and all her friends get in a little sprinter. And we're introduced to Anila. That's her friend. And she's also a doctor's wife and an Aries, which is important to Toya. But okay, girl. So they get in. And Dr. Eugene was like, who wants a toast? And Toya said, well, I got my Patron, so I'm good. She was like, let's toast to the fact that we can't go to a restaurant, so we got to go to Heavenly House. You don't have to go there either. You don't have to. Okay? Like, what is wrong with you? She was like, we went from 5-star to 3-star. Honey, if you don't want to go, if you don't want to be there, then don't go. Like, I hate people that talk behind your back. If you don't like Heavenly for whatever reason, then don't go. Girl, and shut up. And I want to point this out. All the homes on Married to Medicine are beautiful. Like, these are my kind of homes. This show screams, I'm successful. Like, if there's any other show on Bravo with an African American cast that screams, I'm successful, it would be Married to Medicine. All right, let's move forward. Just a little side note. So they do the little toast or whatever. And then that's when Toya said, well, we're going to Heavenly's house and you're about to see your best friend, Simone. So Simone was like, we actually really like Damon. And so we want to show up for him and support him. So then we go over to Contessa and Jackie. They're on their way, honey. Contessa dressed in a full-on New Year's Eve gown, honey. I know that's right, child. We was trying to rush 2020 along. I don't blame you, honey. Go on, put on your ball drop dress, honey, because we was trying to get rid of it too. So I don't blame you. You ain't been out the house in 40 days and 40 nights, and you want to put your shiny disco ball dress on to go out there to the backyard barbecue. You go right on, Contessa. I am with you, honey, because we were ready for it to be over as well. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year, child. So then we're in the car with them. Contessa is talking about the fact that Jackie hasn't talked to Simone. And Jackie was just like, you know what? I really miss her and I'm about to get emotional because I just don't understand why we're not talking. And so Contessa was like, well, it could be a territorial thing. Some people don't like their best friends having other friends. And I know a lot of people like that, and when Dr. Heavenly came in the mix, then everything fell apart. So back over on the bus, Toya brings up some more of the mess. And so Simone was just like, Jackie was the nucleus. She was in the middle of me and Heavenly. Then all of a sudden last year, she didn't want to be in the middle anymore. So that made me feel like she was choosing sides. So she's like, I'm grown. I'm not about to be running up after her. If she wants to be friends, we can be friends. Toya piping up, putting in her 2 cents, talking about she feels like Heavenly is the problem. Toya, you are messy boots, honey. Messy boots. I'm starting to feel like you don't want Simone and Jackie to be friends because you need somebody, quite frankly. And so her friend, Nyla or Ayanla or whatever, she laughing and looking. And I'm like, you knew, honey, y'all forgive me if I'm being too hard on the new girl, but just sit back and be quiet and feel people out for yourself. Don't go on what Toya's saying because half the time she drunk, child. Anyway, so then Toya was like, well, y'all have 20 plus years of friendship. And Simone said, well, maybe I misjudged the friendship. Girl, you didn't misjudge the friendship. You're just mad right now. Stop saying things you're not going to mean, child. Over in the car, Contessa in her ball drop, gown, they over there. And she was like, they both are old stubborn chicks. They're both stoic. They're both, surgeons. And so it's just a matter of getting them to stop being so pig-headed and actually talking to each other. Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone are both very hurt, but they don't want to admit it, child. So let's move forward. So then we get to the party. People start to arrive. Dr. Damon's friends, Contessa and Jackie, show up. Dr. Heavenly's like, let me take your temperature to make sure you're COVID free. So Contessa said, that temperature check ain't hitting no nothing, child. But you're a dentist, so there's that. Contessa, honey, the CDC was telling us to do the temperature checks, but we know we can't listen to nothing they saying. But I'm just saying, they were telling us to do the temperature checks. Now, all the while, I felt that. I'm like, some people are having COVID without a temperature, so this temperature check really does nothing. But if it makes you feel another layer of security, I'm all for it because there are some who do have temperatures and they have COVID. So go on, Heavenly, and secure the perimeter, child, and put that to their forehead and 97.3. You're good. You're in, okay? So Mom was like, I need full PPE to hang with Heavenly. Honey, if y'all heifers don't want to go over here to Dr. Heavenly's house, don't go. Y'all getting on my nerves, okay? So Dr. Heavenly was talking about the mermaids, and she's sitting down next to her husband, and she's like, I love the beautiful mermaids. Y'all love them. Why Dr. Heavenly always sound like she kind of hoarse a little bit, like she just got through hollering. So she was like, they thick. Curtis, you don't like them thick, do you? Leave Curtis out of this, because you know they just came back from the shakedown, honey. You know Curtis has a wandering eye, so why would you ask him to look over there at those mermaids, child? Heavenly just as crazy as the day is long, child. So when they get there, Dr. Simone pulls up with, her little group, and she's like, exactly what I expected from you. Absolutely nothing. But I know you were ashamed, because Dr. Jackie swallowed her pride and got on up and came over there, and she said, I want to hug your neck. And Simone gonna say, aren't we supposed to be social distancing? Girl, be quiet. You was waiting on her to say something to you. That's why you had that little snide remark before she could even get up and get started on moving, honey. Just, y'all so childish. Stop being petty. So while they're standing there having awkward small talk about the COVID test and how there aren't enough, here comes Toya busting through with her crab Easter basket, busting through there talking about, I knew he was going to have some crabs in a bucket. Girl, shut up and sit down. You messed up the whole thing. They probably could have potentially started talking about something else, but here you come. Oh, my goodness. So over on the other side, Heavenly and Dr. Damon are standing there, and they're reading this card that Simone gave them. So, it was a card about him being 50, and she inserted a $50 bill. Of course, like the true man Dr. Damon is, honey, he handed the money over to Dr. Heavenly. So Heavenly standing there talking about, thank you so much. We have a wonderful marriage. It's almost perfect. And we have sex on the regular. Something is wrong with Heavenly. Heavenly, if you hear this review, child, I need you to come on this channel. I would like to personally interview you. I know you got your own YouTube channel over there on the other side where you get your 70 and 80 and 100,000 views, child. But come on over here because I want to talk to you. I love me some you. All right, so she does that, and then Simone was like, the Oscar goes to Dr. Heavenly. Honey, that lady is a mess. So over on the other side, the guys started talking about Black Lives Matter, and Dr. Damon said he had a gun put to his head several times. And then Cecil was talking about his experience in LA with a cop pulling him over because he resembled somebody who had committed a crime. And I almost feel like when they pull you over, they make up the fact that you resemble someone who has committed a crime. Just say you're pulling me over because I'm black. Because me resembling someone who has committed a crime is some bullshit. And that is my opinion. All right. So I'm like, dang, child, they done got deep. The men done got deep over there, honey. They sit down there all talking about that, and they want change. And this is befitting. This conversation is befitting for a Dr. Damon celebration, because he don't play. He is all about business and all about what's right all day, every day, child. So then they go over there and sit down. Toya starts eating out of her crab Easter basket, and she biting into that crab. That crab leg don't have no butter, no nothing, just a dry crab leg, and she over there eating it. Oh, my goodness. So then Dr. Damon comes over because he wants to bring a shield to the ladies because they're all sitting amongst each other, but there's no face protection. And I'm like, you know what? Dr. Damon is making sure that he takes COVID seriously, and I appreciate that. So here goes, Toya with this chip on her shoulder. I don't know what was wrong with her this episode. I'm not sure. But she was like, we already got a face mask. He was like, but you're not wearing it. Baby, Dr. Heavenly piped up real quick. She was like, bitch, I don't like your tone with my husband. Take the damn mask, heifer. I'm like, I know that's right. Heavenly definitely ain't afraid to get you together if need be, honey. And you sure ain't finna talk to Dr. Damon crazy. You know that's a recipe for some mess. Girl, hush. So then Dr. Heavenly was like, Simone, I want to know specifically, why haven't I heard from you? And she was like, because I miss you. Then, Simone said she felt like last year that they worked things out. And here comes Toya. Y'all hugged it out and y'all faked it. It was fake. Because if it was real, then y'all would have been talking to each other before now. That happened in December, and it is the summertime. And I'm like, let them try to work it out. I'm trying to figure out why Toya wants dissension. Girl, let these ladies work through their problems if they're going to work through their problems, because the missing part is Heavenly. If Simone can become friends with Heavenly, then her, Heavenly, and Dr. Jackie can get back on the up and up. Shut up. Now I'm really thinking you don't want them all to be friends. You got some kind of hidden agenda. You ain't that drunk heifer. I don't want to hear that. So Toya over there, she keeps interrupting. Heavenly was like, you can get out. And she was like, oh, I'm ready to go. And I would have said, okay, please, exit stage left. Girl, get on, go on. So then Toya starts yelling, spitting everywhere during the pandemic and during COVID, when fluids are not supposed to be exchanged. And then her friend starts piping up, who doesn't even know them, talking about, that's not a real friendship. If y'all are doing that, that's not a real friendship. Girl, gone, honey. We haven't even really been fully, completely introduced to you yet, honey. Don't start inserting yourself in stuff that you should not insert yourself in. You don't know the backstory and the drama and the years these ladies have and their dynamic yet. You're just getting here, and I'm sure Toya has explained it to you in the wrong way, because she don't never know what's right, child. And I actually used to like Toya, but now she is just getting on my nerves. So after Toya gets through yelling, spitting, and cussing and inserting herself where she doesn't belong, she gets up and decides she's going to walk off. And that was pretty much the end of this episode. And Dr. Heavenly was just like, Toya drunk. But being drunk is no excuse. Like, I don't understand what the problem and the issue is with them all being friends and working through it. Toya, you're going to have to get yourself together, honey. Because if this is how you're going to act this season, I'm going to have to comment on you every time I do one of these reviews, and I really don't want to do that. All right, so that was episode 1 of Married to Medicine. I am so excited. I feel like this is going to be a good season. Hopefully they can mend some friendships and we can get Toya some kind of muzzle so she can be quiet so they can mend the friendships. Thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry I had to give that disclaimer in the beginning of my video, but the trolls were getting out of hand, and this is a channel of positivity. If you're not here to laugh, and you're not here to have a good time, and you're not here to get down in the comments and become an opinionated family member, then honey, move on. As always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.